What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Zoe Notice off DFS, here to bring you that NBA slate breakdown in the new year. The first episode, the first video for the brand new year. We got a nice 6-game NBA slate kicking off at 7:30, so 30 minutes later than we normally have it. But some decent games that I actually think we have on the dock. Can't wait to actually break these down, go over them, look at it, and see what we are going to get into today. Hopefully you guys had a really great night last night, and you guys are ready to kick off the new year. Correct. If you guys are new here, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss any of the content I'm putting out, and drop a like on the video. It definitely means a lot to me. It helps promote me and get me out there to other people so that they can also see this content, and they can also help probably win some money or help us get some better content out here for some of the DFS stuff, because you know DFS is a dying breed with everyone swapping over and wanting to play props to get that fast cash, fast money. Now, speaking of props, I've already put out my prop list for today. Check the link down in the description below if you guys are looking for those props or you're looking for DFS content. I post all of my stuff. We have swapped back over from the Dub Club. Had some difficulties and stuff with them, with us getting our content out through that, and just some other things that we just didn't agree with and like as a group. So we swapped back over and we're back on the Patreon. So definitely check the link for that down in the description below if you guys are looking for that. And on the Patreon, you can actually talk to me, unlike on the Dub Club, where I couldn't actually communicate with you guys unless you hit me up on the Discord, if you guys want Discord. But some people, you guys don't want Discord. You just want the Patreon, look at the plays, maybe ask a question if you want to, things like that. So definitely check it out. Link for that will be down in the description below. And with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's break down this slate today. Very interesting slate. We have, of course, as always, and I say this every single time, if you're making a shell lineup, you know, your placeholder lineup, that's cool, that's great. But definitely pay attention to the news, because every single slate up right before lock, we get some crazy breaking news. Just like last night, Rui Hachimura was announced that he was going to start last night. And I'm quick recap of last night. I played Rui just for the value, because I was like, okay, cool, Rui starting. I know he's a pretty good, decent fantasy point per minute producer. LeBron, AD coming off the back-to-back. They played heavy minutes last night. Okay, cool. Let me play Rui. Played Rui, got injured. So that right there, already one player, 8 fantasy points, doom. I was already doomed from that. And then SGA, the Thunder, they just literally steamrolled the Brooklyn Nets after the first quarter. I thought with the Nets getting out to a pretty good lead that it was actually going to be a nice back and forth game. Nope. My Thunder, they went out there, they shelled them. It was definitely, if you guys pay attention, Lou Dort, Josh Giddey, those guys, they definitely had some really great games last night. So it was definitely a spot where you want to get them. And everyone else, they did pretty good. But having my most expensive player in SGA go out there and give me a floor performance, legit floor performance. You go out there and you look at his game logs. He hadn't had one like that in a long time. So getting the back end of that was definitely shitty in my opinion. And then of course, just injury on the other side, that definitely did not pan out too well. But all right, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna break this down, starting with first game on the slate, which we're not gonna pay attention to this Minnesota and New York Knicks game. If you guys are actually playing this for like showdown or something like that, more power to you. I really don't mess with showdown too much. Might be something I might dabble in again later on in the year. You know, whenever it comes down to the playoffs, I more than likely will mess with showdowns, but right now I really don't mess too much with showdowns. I gotta find the formula, find the right path for showdowns. But right now, sticking more to the regular slated of games. But I did put out a props, a power 4 or a flex 4 slip already with my favorite props from the first game. So if you guys are checking and want to check that out, check the link down in the description below. All right, so Cleveland taking on Toronto. Cleveland, we already know they're decimated by injuries. Pretty much just Donovan Mitchell with a bunch of scrub B-list players and Jared Allen out there. Over here for Toronto, we got word that RJ Barrett, he should be making his debut today. So that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on, and I would imagine that Quickly would also make his debut as well. But I would imagine Scotty Barnes is still going to start at that point guard position, because it seems like they're enjoying having him there. And Dennis Schroeder, he's still going to be playing off the bench. That's going to be interesting to see how that bench rotation and how that's going to go with Dennis and Quickly. We know Quickly is a firecracker scorer, especially off the bench. Hopefully he can still resume that role here with the Raptors. Definitely interesting. I don't see it being too much of anything crazy over here for the Raptors, even with RJ starting, which I'll get more into that when we actually get over to DraftKings. Detroit taking on Houston, be interesting. They finally got their dub. They got the win in the last game, going up against the Toronto Raptors. Of course, it was a decimated Raptor squad, and Detroit, they came out there swinging. They were trying to get that win. Morris and Stewart are out. Nothing really that we got to pay attention to. Over here for Houston, Tari Eason, Jabari Smith Jr., they're both questionable. I definitely want to pay attention to see if they're going to be in or out, because if they are going to be out, then that's going to open up some more minutes for Deshaun Tate and other, you know, Jeff Green, things like that for them. And then the usage, of course, is going to go around to, you know, Şengün, Freddie V, things like that, and Jalen Green. if those plays were to miss. Indy taking on Milwaukee. I swear I feel like we've watched this like 4 or 5 times already for the season, but they are playing again. Bruce Brown doubtful to play, so we should see Neesmith and Nembhard still inside the starting lineup over here for them. Same old for everything else. Milwaukee, Beauchamp questionable to play. Other than that, nothing really to pay attention to over here. For the Charlotte Hornets, Terry Rozier, I do fully expect him to play. Mark Williams is doubtful to play. Over here for the Denver Nuggets, Aaron Gordon, he practiced yesterday. He said that he's going to play, but he still needs to pass the team's clearance. So I will take it with for the fact that the player did say that he was going to play. He did practice yesterday, so I'll imagine that he is going to actually play on tonight's slate. Portland, Shaden Sharp, Kamara, they're both game time decisions. If Sharp is to miss again, and of course we do know Brogdon, he will be starting, and then they will start Scoot Henderson, which they did last time that this happened. So definitely going to be interesting. Ayton, he's already going to be ruled out, so he's not going to get that revenge again, so on and so forth, if you believe in that narrative for them. And then of course Jabari Smith Jr., Moses Brown, that's round out starting lineup. Phoenix Suns back in the back-to-back. I wouldn't be surprised if Bradley Beal was rested on today, just simply because it's back-to-back. Want to keep him healthy and good. And speaking of Bradley Beal, if you played him last night, I said it was a pretty nice value to go to yesterday just for the price, because he was sitting at 6-1, which he's sitting at 6-1 again, but he definitely paid it off, dropping, I want to say 34, 35 fantasy points in 35 minutes. So if you definitely hopped on to that Bradley Beal train last night, which was just looking at it, he was already doing it in regards to he was getting those assists, but we said if he could actually get his scoring up, it'll definitely be a more productive night, which last night he popped off in regards to scoring, really didn't do too much in the peripherals in regards to assist or his rebounds, but definitely he had what, 1 block, and did he have any steals? And 1 steal, so he made it for 25 points, pretty good, especially at 6-1. I'll take that value from a starting level player who we do know can pop off at any moment in time. Dallas taking on Utah. I just got alert that Luka, Kyrie, and Dante Exum all participated in shoot around, so I would imagine that they would play today. Considering that this is the Dallas Mavericks, there's no telling what they're going to actually do. Let me actually look and see if they're on a front end of a back-to-back. Hold on. So Dallas is not on the front end of a back-to-back or anything like that, but it is the Utah Jazz. It'll be interesting considering that Utah, I don't know what the heck they're doing. Their rotations and stuff, the minutes have been all up and down, really wonky and funky. So definitely something to pay attention to. But if all these guys are going to be in, definitely something that I want, because to get a Luka Doncic going up against a soft Utah Jazz team that can somewhat stay with you if they actually play right, and just Luka himself, that's decent. I will definitely want to take that. And then last but not least, we have Miami taking on the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard, he did participate in shoot around, so I imagine that he's actually going to play finally after missing, I want to say, the last 3 or 4 games with that hip. And then Kyle Lowry, game time decision. Just pay attention to the news in regards to if he's going to be in or out. But Jimmy Butler, he's already been ruled out, so we already know the usage there will go to Bam, Jaime Jaquez, and Tyler Hero over here for them. All right. Heading over to DraftKings, the site that I play most on, the site that we are going to get that takedown. It is going, I'm manifesting it. I'm saying it. I'm manifesting it. The year 2024, we are going to get that takedown. So the 300K fadeaway, always put my lottery ticket into this along with my other single entry GPP stuff. If you guys aren't doing that, that's definitely the formula. I will always go ahead and put 1 lottery ticket in just to, you know, I want to win the big money. I want to win 100K. Don't know what I'm going to do with the 100K, but it would be nice to have it. So heading on over here, looking at it, starting with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Already kind of said it when I was going over the injury report. Really, it's going to be Donovan Mitchell over here for the Cavs. Like, just straight up, the usage and everything that he has for every single game. Since there is no Garland, there is no Evan Mobley, none of those other players, he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. As you can see, those assists up, he's going to get those rebounds. He's going to score as well at a high clip. Going up against the Milwaukee Bucks, they lost that game, but played 36 minutes in his first game being back since being injured. I'd imagine he'd go back up towards more of his like 38, 39-ish minutes that he does play, because he was already logging pretty heavy minutes even before. Toronto Raptors, they're not a slouch of a team. They definitely can keep games close. But Donovan Mitchell, I do not mind, don't hate him. Going out there, we know he's going to jack up those shots. One prop play that if they definitely go ahead and add it up there, depending on what they put it at, if they put it like at a 7.5, 8, I'll have some interest at it, will be his 3-point attempts, because no matter if he's making them or if he's missing them, he will attempt a ton of threes. And if he's out there on the court for a good chunk of the game, he's still going to attempt them either way. But I already did take his rebounds and assists. I do like that. Like I said, ball will be in his hand. He is going to go in there and crash the glass if he has to. And he also is going to set up players for getting some assists. But outside of Donovan Mitchell, besides his heavy uses, Jared Allen, don't mind, don't hate him at all. He's been playing very well over the last several games with Evan Mobley and everyone else being out. The matchup for him going up against the Toronto Raptors is not a bad one. Nothing that I fear or that I want to run away from. In the first game that he did play against him, he played 27 minutes and dropped 30 fantasy points in that game. So again, I don't hate it, don't mind it. Really a decent spot if I'm going there. And then the last player that I'm going to really want to focus on is going to be Max Strus. Strus, of course, we know he's up and down. If his scoring is flowing, he's definitely going to go out there and give us a pretty good night. As you can see with the 26 points going up against the Bulls, dropped 44 fantasy points. But either way, opposing shooting guards have done pretty decent going up against the Toronto Raptors so far this season. And in the first game that he played going up against them this season, 37 minutes, he dropped 45 fantasy points. I had a really big night. So really don't mind coming out here to the 6'5" Max Strus if I need to get down here. Now, Karis LeVert, Craig Porter Jr., Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro, Nang, all these guys, they're low tier players. Really the usage and everything is going to be there for them. It's going to be a lot of on the shoulders of Donovan Mitchell, Max Strus, Jared Allen. That's mostly where a lot of our good fantasy point production is going to come from. But if I had to take one, don't mind it, kind of just because he's still starting. I will take a flyer on Isaac Okoro if you do believe that he can actually knock down his shots, which he can at times. But if you believe he can knock down his shots and lock in on the defensive side, I don't mind looking at Isaac Okoro. Going over to the other side, Toronto Raptors. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see if RJ is actually going to go ahead and start and play today. If he's there, then of course we're going to want to see how he's going to look with the new team. I would imagine that he should be excited, especially playing at home. He is a Canadian, so maybe you could take a GPP flyer going there. I'm not going to mind it too much, considering that opposing small forwards going up against the Cavs, they've actually done pretty decent so far on the season. In the one game that he did play going up against them earlier this season, of course, on the New York Knicks, he played 25 minutes and dropped 20 fantasy points. So not a bad fantasy point per minute production there. It'll definitely be interesting to see how he's going to look. I imagine he will fill in that OG Anunoby role, which we know OG, he was a spot up shooter. He played pretty decent on the defensive side and some cuts and things like that. So I would imagine RJ kind of the same. I feel like the New York Knicks, they definitely got a better defensive player and someone who's a pretty good clip from the three-point line as well when they made the trade, and also they got some backup depth at that center position. Was really what I really felt like the whole trade was for. But outside of that, main player over here for the Raptors, I do like Scotty Barnes at 9K, but I will come down and take the savings that I can get to Pascal Siakam. I know game logs looking very good over his last 5, 40 plus fantasy points in all these games, and going up against the Cavs earlier this season, he played 38 minutes, dropped 39 fantasy points in that game. Just opposing power force, especially with them playing backup bigs such as Dean Wade, Georges Niang, things like that. Siakam should be able to go out here and feast, and I don't think that a RJ Barrett being slid into that starting lineup is really going to mess with that too much for him if he actually does start. Now, another player I would be remiss if I didn't actually mention him is going to be Jakob Poeltl, sitting at 6K. I do like one of his props today, which was his rebounds and assists, or his rebounds, either one of those. First game without a Precious Achiuwa to back him up. 35 minutes, he went out there, 14 rebounds, and just the minutes, the fact that was up for him. Just to dive a little bit deeper and give this to you guys, if you go over here to Outlier, the site that I use to go ahead and check out everything for the props, in his 2 games since he's been on the Raptors, head-to-head going up against the Cavs, he's gone over his rebounds and assists with 12 and 15 in those 2 games. And the Cavs, they're allowing right now 11.8 rebounds to centers and 3.4 assists to centers. So we do know that Poeltl, he definitely can do a little bit of the playmaking. It's a favorite as a -130 over on the books right now, so definitely do like the over as a play for him over on Prize Picks, Underdog, wherever you actually play your props at. I really do like the upside for that play for Poeltl. All right, heading over to Indy. Hopefully I'm not talking too fast for you guys and you guys are getting the information from that first game. Is there any play that you guys really feel that stands out to you that you actually want to go ahead and play? I definitely do, I know myself, like to at least get one player from the first game. It kind of feels weird to fade it sometimes, but a game like this, a decent total, and just the usage that is going to go around the game, I do feel like I probably will end up getting a piece from that game. I'm not too sure yet exactly who it's going to be, but I do feel like I'm going to get something. All right, going over to the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Indiana Pacers. Like I said, we've already seen this game several times, and it's going to be the same old over here for the Pacers. Halliburton, if you could get up to him 10-3, you don't want to play for Luka, or you don't want to play Giannis, something like that, then definitely Tyrese Halliburton is bumped back up to 10-3, coming off a 70.25 fantasy point game, going up against New York Knickerbockers. Don't hate it, don't mind it. Definitely worth the play. Miles Turner down here at 6'9". We know they try to get Turner going in the beginning of the games. If he's actually getting it going and he's flowing, then he's going to actually have a pretty good pop-off game. All 3 games that he's gone up against them, he's at least dropped over 35 fantasy points going up against the Bucks. So another player that I don't mind going to and taking if you feel like that. And then, of course, with Nembhard being in the starting lineup at 5'3", he's going to go out there, he can give you a decent game, like a 30.75 fantasy point game, or he can go out there and give us at least close to 20 fantasy points, which I'm not going to hate. Don't mind it. Not a must, but if I do land in that 5.3, 5.4 range, I don't mind taking number hard if that's what's going to get me to. And then last but not least, to me, I think he kind of goes a little bit under radar. I do love his defense. I know he's going to go out there and try to play hard-nosed defense against Giannis once again, like what he did earlier in the season. But Neesmith, which I know you wouldn't think that he would actually be playing up, but he definitely can't play in that power forward position. He is a small forward to me in my eyes, but don't mind him coming off a really great game, 33.75 fantasy points in the last game against the Knicks. The upside definitely going to be there for him, especially with the minutes they've more solidified with the players that they have out. I don't mind looking at a Neesmith as another pivot off of a Nembhard if you want to go there. Jalen Smith, not really gonna mess with. Everyone else, Obi Toppin, all these other guys, none of them really tickle the whistle for me, so I'm not gonna mess with that. Going over here to the Milwaukee Bucks, they're playing at home. So at home, I will say that Damian Lillard has played much better at home. He hasn't had a really great game going up against the Pacers so far this season. Looking at it, I'm looking at his game logs. He's had one game where he dropped 47 fantasy points. Other than that, it hasn't been anything to write home about. Really, the main contributor has been Giannis. He's dropped over 57 fantasy points in every single game going up against them. In the last game that he played them, he dropped 95 fantasy points going up against the Pacers. I will take that all day, every day from Giannis. But right now, probably Giannis would be the main stud that we probably want to pay up for on today's slate. Opposing power forwards going up against Indy have decimated them so far this season. I don't know what it is about the power forward position, but they have done very well going up against them. And Giannis, he is matchup proof. But outside of that, I will say value on the slate, which I don't know why he's priced this low. Really weird. Malik Beasley, 4,800. He's starting. He's going to play minutes as long as he's productive out there, and we know that he can go out there and score with the best of them. He's a really good three-point shooter. He's coming off of two back-to-back 5 for 8 three-point shooting nights. That's really good. Let me see something. His home splits. Splits. Home games. What's your three-point percentage? Ah, dang. That's weird. At home, his three-point percentage is only 40%, but on the road, he's averaging 53. That's interesting. Really interesting. Either way, I still do like Malik Beasley. The matchup should be there for him, starting at the two-guard position. In his games going up against the Pacers, he's at least given us 224 fantasy point games and one with 12. So I don't hate it, don't mind it for Malik Beasley, but definitely interesting to say the least. Now, Brook Lopez, in that last game, he actually closed. We haven't seen Brook really play big minutes so far, so really interesting to see. Definitely interesting if they actually let Brook get his leash unleashed and play him his full allotment of minutes. But Brook Lopez, don't mind, don't hate it. And then last but not least, Chris Middleton, finally, with those minutes bumped up and up. I do like him still, 7-1. I think he's an 8K player. The assist, man, playmaking is a lot. It's right there. Rebounding, it's there. Don't mind taking Chris Middleton here, especially if you want to look over his props, at his rebounds, assists. If sitting at a decent number, I don't mind taking the over on that as well as another play. Detroit going up against the Houston Rockets. So we already know that they got their win. They got their dub. Now, are they going to fall off a cliff and not really try it as hard? They're not going to play as hard? I don't think so. I don't think that's going to be the case. Interesting to see Kevin Knox. He got slid into the starting lineup, I want to say the last game and the game before that, if I'm not mistaken. Played 31 minutes. If they're going to actually start Kevin Knickerbocker there again, then maybe I'll have some interest there at 4-2. I'm not going to hate it. He does great out to have the best matchup so far, especially with them shuffling and mixing in different players at that power forward position. Outside of that, it's still going to be Kate Cunningham for me, 8-7. He was playing his ass off in the last couple of games trying to get that dub, and he finally was able to lead the team to the dub against the Raptors, 129 to 127. So don't mind if you want to pay up there, but Jalen Duren, to me, kind of matchup proof. The rebounds will be there for him. Really great rebounding machine. He's going to at least play, I'll give him 30 minutes. But double-double machine, I do like the upside for him. Going up against Şengün shouldn't be an issue or problem. Şengün's not necessarily going to stretch the floor. Should be a battle down there for the boards, as long as he keeps himself out of foul trouble. But I really do actually like the upside for Jalen Duren here at 6'7". Definitely someone I wouldn't mind paying for at the center position. Over on the other side, like I already said, Şengün, definitely don't mind him. I really do feel like this is going to be a good matchup for both of the bigs in this game. But Şengün, he does great out. Opposing centers have actually, even though Duren, he's played great in his own right, opposing centers have still gave him the business. Poto just dropped 37. Porzingis dropped 49. Claxton back-to-back games gave us 35. Kelly Olynyk 47. Clint Capella 47. And Joel Embiid 66. So you see, centers going up against Detroit Pistons, it's a thing. And a center that has the usage, such as Şengün, with the rebounding, with the assist, and it can also go out there and score. I do like the upside for him here in this position spot no matter what. So Şengün, really great play. And then outside of that, Freddie V. Depending on what Freddie V comes out the gate, if this is going to be the scoring Freddie V, the one that can actually play make a little bit, we have attacked Detroit with opposing point guards. They've all normally gone over their point totals and stuff going up against them. So really do like the upside for Fred. And then if you want to take a GPP stab at it, now that's what I'm saying, GPP stab at it. Jalen Green, definitely, he finally bounced back in his last 2 games, 37 and 46 fantasy points. More bigger score nights from him in both of those games. So you could definitely take a stab there. Not a must to me in my eyes, but definitely something to pay attention to if you want to get a little bit different from this game. Definitely, this is one of those games that I'll say it all the time. Normally, there's one game on the slate that I think is stack worthy, and Detroit and Houston, I definitely think could be a stack worthy game. I don't see Houston blowing out Detroit necessarily because they can hang with opposing teams. They really can. With the tight rotations that both of these teams technically do run, I do like the upside in this game for it to be a pretty good game. And then outside of that, Jae'Sean Tate, if he starts or if he doesn't, either way, I do like the upside for him possibly here going up against Detroit. This is one of those games where I could see him coming out here getting a couple of steals and blocks and doing some work and actually scoring a lot better than what he's done over his last couple games. I know he's a defensive-minded player, but if you're going to go out there and play 30-plus minutes, I'm going to have some interest in you, especially if Tari Eason is to miss and if Jabari Smith Jr. is to miss. Now, if both of these guys are going to be in, I would much rather play Tari Eason than anything else because Tari, he's a really great fantasy point per minute producer when he's out there on the court. Like, the dude just does it all. So if Tari is in, I would much prefer him, especially over Tate and Jabari Smith. Yeah, I'll take the savings for coming out here to my boy Easton. Dallas taking on Utah. If all these guys are in, they're too priced up to me in my eyes. Only one I would take a stab on would be Kyrie. Other than that, I'm not going to mess with Tim Hardaway Jr. I'm not going to mess with Lively, Derrick Jones Jr., Exum, none of those guys. Luka, I can take a stab there, but not a must or anything like that. If you want to come here and play Luka, we know the dude pops off. But when I have Giannis, when I have Halliburton, I have Donovan Mitchell, Şengün, all these other players on the slate, I'm not going to force Luka into my line, especially with a fully healthy Dallas team going up against the Utah Jazz team that they possibly could blow them out of the water. So not too heavy on anyone over here from me, and I'm not even going to try to predict anybody off the bench over there for the Dallas Mavericks. Now, over here for the Utah Jazz, it'll be interesting to see if they actually give their players their minutes because last couple games, they really have just been playing around with the minutes. You start Collins at the center position, but yet I don't think that he even played 21 minutes, only 18 fantasy points, 117 and 109 going up against Miami. That's just ridiculous. Lauri Larkin, 26 minutes, 24 fantasy points. It's just kind of weird and hard to trust. The only player that really does stick out to me is going to be Colin Sexton, just because 26 minutes, 33 fantasy points. He's a very decent fantasy point per minute producer, and I don't mind it. He's not too much in regards to the price scale, so I'll take a stab there. But other than that, these are all just going to be GPP plays, and if I'm ranking them, it'll be Colin Sexton, depending on if he's still starting. But if they do start Keontae George, if they start Keontae, then I would take Keontae over Colin because Keontae will play in blowouts and things like that, just simply because they're trying to get him his minutes and stuff. He is a rookie, so I won't mind that. Outside of that, I'm not going to touch anything over here on Utah until something becomes more solidified. Going over to the Charlotte Hornets taking on Denver, just popped up on my timeline that Terry Rozier, he is questionable for tonight with an illness, so not too sure exactly how to navigate that just yet. I know he was already questionable leading into the slate. Either way, this will be I imagine a tougher matchup for everybody over here. The only player, and I'm going to say he's a GPP play just simply because opposing centers for some reason have actually had some pretty decent games going up against the Joker. And Nick Richardson, minus that 8-point game going up against Phoenix in 31 minutes. I still don't understand how he did this. 31 minutes, 8.5 fantasy points. Outside of that, he was actually having some pretty decent games. 43, 31, 32 fantasy points, grabbing those rebounds, scoring a little bit, double-doubles in pretty much all 3 of those games. He's a GPP option for me, not a must, but someone that I could see flying under the radar. Opposing centers, like I said, have actually done pretty decent going up against Nurt. Chet just dropped 41. Before that, Nick Richardson has already played going up against them, and he dropped 43 in that game that he played. Nick Claxton dropped 46, and Chet, again, he dropped 49 going up against them. So opposing centers that can actually rebound and do a little damage out there have actually done pretty well. So Nick Richardson, GPP option and play right there for me. Outside of that, if Terry was to miss, then I would imagine that we're going to see Brandon Miller get some more minutes. They're going to probably start Ish Smith, and Bryce McGowan's will probably get a little bit extra run. All those guys, GPP type options that could definitely do a little bit something for you, but not must or anything by any means necessary over here. For the Denver Nuggets, of course, I do like the Joker here in the spot. Opposing centers, we've done that going up against Charlotte continuously. I definitely will go ahead and take that. Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. If Aaron Gordon is back, I want to see exactly if he's going to be on a minutes limit or how that's going to look for him. If he's going to be out or limited anyway, then Peyton Watson, this would be a game that I could see him still playing minutes, because I really don't see how Charlotte hangs with the Denver Nuggets either way. Playing against them earlier, he only played 17 minutes and he gave us 9.25 fantasy points. But in the last couple games that he's been starting, he's been a very good point per minute producer while he's been out there. So I really do like the upside for him if he's going to actually start. So again, depending on the Aaron Gordon news. Outside of that, everyone else still really has really great matchups. Michael Porter Jr., not bad. Peyton Watson, like I said, as long as he gets his minutes and burn. But off the bench, I wouldn't mind taking a stab at like someone like Strother. Down here, Zeke Naji. They're all going to be GPP options. Braum, value plays, especially if you're believing that this game is going to blow out. Reggie Jackson being a game time decision, I expect for him to play. I don't see them being on a back-to-back or anything like that, so should be fine and good to go. All right, last game on the slate, Portland taking on the Phoenix Suns. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on any of the content I'm putting out over here on the channel. And drop a like on the video if it helps you guys win some money, or if you're just enjoying the content that I'm putting out to you guys. I really do appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully this year is going to be a banger for us on the channel and just in the community, period. All right, over here, Anthony Simons, we already know he's going to be out. Ayton, he's out. If Sharp is going to be out, then I would fully expect for Scoot to be slid into that starting lineup and to start there. But if Sharp is actually going to play, then it should be Sharp and Brogdon, unless they decide to shake up and mess with this starting lineup. Either way, it'll be interesting because Portland, they've been running a tight rotation for some reason. Even though they start Moses Brown at the center position, Kid doesn't really play minutes at all. So I'm not even going to mess with Moses Brown at the starting position. I'm just going to look straight to Jarris Walker, who, or Jabari Walker, who they actually play at the center position, and then give him all the burn and run. At 5K, don't hate it, don't mind it. Like the upside for him. I know he's going to be out there. He's going to play even if the game blows out or not. And it gives me a late night hammer. Now, outside of that, if you think they can keep it close, then of course we're going to want to look at Brogdon, who has done very well since being put back into the starting lineup. As long as he's going to actually play his allotment of 35 plus minutes, I do like the upside for him, especially going up against no defense Booker and Bradley Beal, who is a slouch, a little bit too slow. Don't hate it, don't mind it at all. Jeremy Grant, it's interesting. I know he's going to try to guard Kevin Durant, but if you want to take a stab there, definitely opposing power forwards, they've done decent going up against the Suns. We just see Paolo drop 51 fantasy points going up against them last night. Then outside of that, Derrick Jones Jr., Keegan Murray, Grant in the game that they played earlier, they dropped all 30 plus fantasy points going up against them. So the upside is definitely going to be there at 7-3. Not going to hate it, not going to mind it, but if they start Scoot, if Sharp is going to miss, I'd rather play Scoot. I will take the upside. Look at that. We were on him, and I think it was either this game or this game where he dropped 30 plus fantasy points. And then going up against the San Antonio's, yeah, we were on him, and I'm pretty sure it was this game where he dropped 35 fantasy points. Then that second game going up against him, 52. Oh my God, I love it. But definitely would rather play Scoot over anybody over here, especially if Sharp is going to be out. Going over to the Phoenix Suns side, looking at them, really, over here, depending on if they rest anybody, I imagine that they would, but then again, they do need some wins. If they're going to play the full allotment of minutes and it's not going to mean anything, I could see Kevin Durant contending with some of the other spends up options on the slate. Definitely someone that we can consider. Against Portland earlier, 38 minutes, he dropped 54 fantasy points in that game. If Beal's not going to be limited, I'll take a stab at him again. He's 6'1". I'm not going to hate it, especially if he can give me that scoring output, but do a little bit more in this assist and rebound department. I definitely will take a stab there. And then, of course, my boy Grayson Allen, as always, look, consistent, always at least giving us over 25 fantasy points every single time he's out there on the court. I'm not going to mind going to Allen as another play. And then if you want to take a stab at Yusuf Nurkic, considering that they don't have any actual real centers out there. And I did take his rebounds as a prop for today as well. I definitely don't mind going to him. Looking at it, he should be able to go out here, 31 minutes, drop 35 fantasy points going up against them. Maybe he can do a little bit better in the scoring department, but I know he'll rebound, get the block, steals, things like that. So not too much that's a must over here from the Sun side. I'll take a GPP stab at Beal, like I said, but other than that, KD, if you want to get there, but not a must, not with some of the other studs that we have on the slate. And then Nurk, if you want to pay up at the center position a little bit. All right, guys, that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the breakdown. definitely will have more content and stuff coming out. I will try at least once or twice a week to give you guys price pick videos or prop videos, period. Especially something I want to try to stick to and get more down pack with the new year and everything. Hopefully you guys do cash out. Talk to me down in the comment section. Let me know what stud do you feel like is the main play that you should be building around today, and what is your favorite game on the slate to go ahead and get those pieces from and stack that you think is going under owned, that you think no one's really paying attention to. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for me. Peace.